Hello, and welcome to Your Vote Counts, a public service program for the Special District's May 16th election that is being produced by Capital Community Media via remote technology and the League of Women Voters, Mary and Polk counties. All candidates for the Salem-Keizer School Board election were invited, and we will be hearing from 5 of the 6 in our interviews. Candidates were asked to prepare a 2-minute opening statement telling about themselves, their qualifications, and why they chose to run for office. I'm Cindy Condon, your moderator from the League of Women Voters, and I would like to introduce candidate Larry Scruggs to share his opening remarks. Larry Scruggs is a candidate for Salem-Keizer School Board Zone 6, and Larry, thank you for joining us today.
It's my pleasure.
And now for your opening remarks.
Thank you very much, Cindy. My name is Larry Scruggs. I'm a native Oregonian, and my credentials for this position are as follows. Academically, I hold a PhD in urban studies from Portland State, major areas of policy analysis and social change. I have a master's in general studies social science and a bachelor's degree in law enforcement and a finance and accounting certificate from the American Society of Association Executives. Professionally, I'm an Air Force veteran. 21 years as a college administrator, which is responsible for a number of areas ranging from bookstore, public safety, hazardous materials, parking, space allocation, facilities coordination, child center arena, and the campus facilities master plan and major projects. I've also been a volunteer on a number of boards, most significant, Portland Rose Festival Association. I chaired a Grand Floral and Starlight Parades, was also on the board of directors of the Visitors Association, Now Travel Oregon, and the Boy Scouts of America. My mission while here and on the board, I want to provide an equal educational opportunity in a safe and welcoming environment for all of our students. The quality education includes strong basic skills, reading, math, and writing, and professional opportunities such as college prep, pre-law, pre-med, technical and vocational programs, and I'd like to see us start free apprenticeship programs so students who want to go into trades can go right from high school to work. My vision is that all students graduate prepared for life, adulthood, and whatever field of endeavor they choose. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that information with us. And now candidate Larry Scruggs will have an opportunity to address questions of concern to our community. The questions for our candidate today were developed in collaboration with the NAACP, the AAUW, and League members. Candidates did not receive questions ahead of this interview. There are 8 questions prepared, and the candidate may answer as many of those as possible in the limited time available today. The candidate's responses to the individual questions will not be timed. So if you're ready, Larry, we'll get on to our first question.
Okay.
So first, can you describe your understanding of the role of the school board and school board members and how it is different than that of the superintendent and staff roles?
It is the job of the school board to establish the mission, the vision, values, goals, and objectives and strategies for the schools, but it is not the mission of the school board to run the school. That's what the superintendent does.
Hey, thank you. Short and sweet. So on to the second. In several places in district policy for the school board, it states that there is to be regular opportunity for public comment and feedback. What do you believe the current school board has done well in hearing from the public, and what do you think could be improved?
Well, the school board meetings are closed right now. And that is, you can watch them on television. I believe very strongly in having open meetings. That's democracy. Parents and students and everybody should have the opportunity to participate in decisions that are being made for the schools. But at the same time, the public has a responsibility of common courtesy. When you're in meetings, it's not combat. It should be deliberation. You express your opinion and discuss it. What the school board has done, and I understand why they closed the meetings. That was getting pretty brutal, but at the same time, the meetings have to be open, and I'm going in, I want to see the meetings open, and then we'll take whatever steps we need to keep everything under control.
Hey, thank you for that. So on to the next. How would you direct the superintendent or provide guidance for the superintendent to help our diverse student population that is underachieving in literacy and language acquisition?
You're right on to one of my hot buttons. I've been a substitute teacher last school year and this school year. And what I've seen is the class sizes, especially in the mid-highs, class sizes are pretty large. And students, especially those that may be struggling for a variety of reasons, they need individualized instruction. When you have a class of 30 to 35 students, and I've had a number of them, largest one, by the way, was 44, and 44 students in a gym class, and we had one ball. It was a bit of a circus. But individualized instruction is extremely important, and you can't do that without having enough teachers and teacher aides in the classroom to provide that, and that's one of my major goals.
And just a follow-up on that, there's a budgetary question in that answer but is the budget adequate to see to that individual instruction?
Right now, they're doing the best they can. Budgets for education in Oregon haven't been the same since the property tax limitation in the early 1990s. We've never caught up, and the legislature is doing a good job trying to catch up, but it's going to take time to get us back to speed. And as a school board member, I'm more than happy to carry the torch and go into the legislature and beg for more money, I guess.
Okay, thank you, because that certainly does have budget impact.
Yes.
And now to the superintendent. So Salem Keizer School District will have a new superintendent coming up. And what do you look for in a superintendent?
What I'm going to look for initially is how does she get her arms around the job that she has? When I was at the University of Portland, we had 5 different presidents. And every president comes in with a different management style, a different operational style, their own, shall we say, tone of the way that they conduct their business. I'm wanting to see initially how she handles that and what she does. And then I'll be interested in seeing what are the first requests that she brings to the board? What does she identify as the major needs?
All right. Thank you. And next, we're going to talk a little bit about the environment for students in schools these days. What would you recommend to create a safe environment for both students and staff in schools?
I think you may be bordering on the lawsuit that the Salem Keizer Education Association has filed against the schools and the school board. And what they're after is a safe environment. But I'd like to point out that what they're asking for is the same thing that I'm asking for. The students that have been causing much of the violence in the schools are special needs students. And I've got a grandson who is one of those special needs students. He's autistic, and occasionally he has a meltdown and he throws things and he gets very angry, and you have to calm him down. The violence that, as I read the lawsuit and what the claims are, the issue is students who should be in a much smaller, quieter learning environment are being put into the entire class. And they can't handle the noise, they can't handle the commotion that goes on around them. They need a quieter, calming environment. And you can't provide that if you don't have enough substitute teachers or teacher aides to help. And that's where I see the solution to much of that problem. One of my accomplishments, by the way, as a student teacher, I'm a trained personal service worker. to help take care of both. Two of our grandkids have, well, they're basically autistic. And in being trained to do that at one of the mid-highs, we had a little boy named Diego who was having a terrible time getting along in a gym class. And I managed to get him to sit down and play catch with the ball back and forth. And when I got Diego separated and sitting down on the gym floor and we were rolling the ball back and forth, the whole class settled down. It got much better.
Okay, so that's a personal experience. I'm not sure that works in a whole classroom, but it certainly works for a classroom that's being disrupted.
Yes.
Or in that case, certainly. So thank you. And now I'd just like to talk about there have been some issues that have certainly come up in the press about the barriers, either actual or perceived, to parent involvement and understanding of curricula, and what changes might be made to give better understanding and involvement.
Well, the curriculum, what I'm accustomed to in higher education is the class curriculum is published. And I frankly don't know if they do that in the high schools and in the schools in the district. That's something that I would want to find out. Parents should be able to see the curriculum of the class. They should be able to see the required reading list, see if there's any books that they don't want their child to read. But that's information for the individual. That's information that should be available. But it's not the role of the parent to establish the curriculum for the course. That's what teachers do. That's what the supervisors do. That's what librarians do when they pick books to go into the library.
And just to speak back to the board role, what role do you see the board playing in this realm?
The board establishes the values for the district and gives them to the superintendent. If the values are not being followed to the satisfaction of the board evaluates the superintendent. The superintendent, who passes those values on to the administration of the schools and then on to the teachers, you have a chain of command that has to be followed. I don't see it being the role of the school board to determine individual books that are in the classroom or the library. That's what the superintendent does. That's what the librarian does. It's not my business to tell a teacher how to teach their class. It's not my business because they're the expert on that particular subject, not me.
Okay, thank you for that. And just digging a little bit further, are there curriculum areas you might suggest or advocate to, certainly given the differential roles, but to the superintendent, such as vocational programs, AP courses in African American and ethnic history, environmental studies, tech? You spoke a little bit about your interest in vocational, but could we just dig a little bit more into that area, what you see as might be missing in the current curriculum?
It is hard to teach history without teaching all of history. You can't break it into individual sections. If there's a part of history that offends somebody, well, that's probably what happened. If it offends you, it probably should offend you if it's something that's wrong. Regarding the technical and when I was a kid, we had auto shop, machine shop, wood shop. We had all of those. Well, we may be about the same age, and there were all of these opportunities because coming out of World War II in Korea, education was a priority, and we've gotten away from that now. And we need to make education a priority because that's our future. That's democracy. To paraphrase Thomas Jefferson, an informed electorate is necessary for democracy to occur.
Yes. Well, thank you very much. We've got a really limited amount of time left, but I'd like to ask a quick question on what your position on school resource officers and would you budget for their return or not?
Okay. I will say this as a former police officer who did officer friendly. I will say this as a father whose oldest son is now a retired police officer and was a student resource officer in one of the high schools in a Portland suburb. I do not like the concept of school resource officers in the school. I want the police to have the opportunity to enforce the law. And in the schools, we don't need a full-time police officer. There are times we need a police officer and we should be able to call, but no, not all the time.
Thank you very much for your pretty concise but in-depth answers to those questions. And now, Larry, if you could share your closing remarks and your contact information.
Okay, well, the contact information is cleverly named larryforschoolboard.com. That's the webpage, and you can get lots of information about me. In closing, I, of course, want to thank the League of Women Voters for the opportunity to speak today. And I want to reiterate my vision, which it takes, to use, pardon the old line, but it takes a village to raise a child. We've got to see that the education of our children becomes a priority to prepare them for everything. We need to strengthen our emphasis on basic skills. And by basic skills, I mean reading, writing, and fundamental mathematics. They need that even in this modern world. Our reading scores are low and we've got to bring them up. There's a variety of reasons. I'm not going to blame anybody for the low reading scores, because between coronavirus and the closure and all that's been going on the last few years, of course, you're going to have problems. I want to solve them. Our high schools are developing and implementing more technical and vocational programs, and I applaud that effort. When I was student teaching, I wound up in an auto shop. I'm not a mechanic, so it wasn't very much help teaching, but it was great to watch the kids assemble and disassemble engines and working with cars. But I also want to see pre-apprenticeship programs. If somebody wants to go into trades, let's have a pre-apprentice program for electricians and plumbers and carpenters and iron workers and all of those jobs that require very specific skills. And let's give our kids the opportunity when they walk out of our classroom and graduate from our courses, they're prepared for life, for adulthood, and whatever endeavor they happen to choose.
A comprehensive education.
Absolutely.
So once again, thank you, candidate Scruggs, for this interview today and sharing your thoughts. Thanks also to Capital Community Media for their production and technology skills, to our community groups that provided questions and topics, and to you, the public, for watching this program in order to become a more informed voter. Remember, the last day to change or register to vote is April 25th. Ballots will go out beginning April 26th and must be received or postmarked by May 16th to be counted. Remember to vote by May 16th. Because your vote counts.